Beautiful theater. This is awesome.
I have seen 5 episodes, and Lee gets beat up a lot. So, yeah, it looks like it hurts.
Wait till the finale.
So, congratulations, number 1, because
Thank
it's
you.
fantastic. What compelled you at this point in your career, because you have this other show that people kind of know about, to do a crime, what do you want to call it, Tulsa noir crime?
Sure, Tulsa noir. I mean, I think that like Reservation Dogs was like the show that felt like I had to do, you know? And you can't just like, I couldn't just do like a native crime show. I needed to introduce the world to everything native, you know, because there was so much to say. But within making Reservation Dogs, I really got into genre. You know, we would do each episode would be like a different genre. And yeah, I just have always been a fan of noir. It's something I've always wanted to do. Yeah.
I love that it's set in Tulsa too, because it's not exactly a place that we see a lot in, well, okay, let's say crime noir, but just in series in general. So it is almost like a character in the series.
Yeah.
It is. It is. I mean, you know, I don't know. I love Tulsa, and it's my home, and I always wanted to. I guess like whenever I had the idea to make this show, there was this idea of like there was a lot of shows, sort of soap opera sort of shows that were happening about the Midwest, and it didn't feel true, and it wasn't a reflection of where I'm from. I wanted to tell that side of the story and tell something real. And part of that was showing the city as like a, character.
And it's a perfect character for noir. Because, we've seen noir in LA, we've seen it in New York, we've seen it in New Orleans, we've seen it in Boston, but there is something about Oklahoma where as soon as you get there, all the great crimes of America are alive. They're in the present tense there. You feel it. Whether we're talking about the Tulsa race massacre, whether we're talking about Oklahoma as an Indian territory, whether we're talking about the Trail of Tears, it's all there. And so for noir, and you see it in the architecture, half the architecture is frozen in the 50s. There's the Outsiders, Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's all, it's just right for the picking, as they say.
Okay, so can you talk about how you two connected? Because you were in Rest Dogs, but I kind of just want to know what the story is with how you two connected.
I met him at the. I met him at the Denver airport after Boyhood came out, and I never do this, but I went up to him and I said, "I have to say something," and I said, "Hey, I love Boyhood." He doesn't remember this at all.
I like to think that I do, but I might not.
And he was like, "Oh, thanks so much, man." Which, thank God, he wasn't a dick to me. I'm really grateful to him. And, but really, a friend of ours, mutual friend, Martin Sinsmeyer, had brought a graphic novel that he had written called Inde that's about the Apache Wars in Geronimo. And it was from a script that he had written. He couldn't get it produced in Hollywood, because they were like, "We're not making this show about Native people. It has to have white generals in it, and those have to be the lead actors." Out of frustration, Ethan took that and made it into a graphic novel, which landed in my hands. I approached him, we met at the Chateau Marmont, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, super Hollywood meeting, and I told him my idea of turning it into a show, and he just loved it, and we became friends, and we started writing after that, and then, I'll let you finish.
And then, we're deep into the writing process, and I get a call, and he's like, "Hey, listen, good news, bad news. Bad news is, we're not writing this anymore. The good news is, my show's taken off. I'm going to make the show called Reservation Dogs." And it was clear, if we were friends already, and it was clear this was a great dream and had to happen, and was an awesome thing. And it was kind of a young friendship, but I started watching the show with real interest. It started as a friend. I watched it the first night it aired, and I was blown away by it. I'd seen some of Sterlin's other films, and I love them. And it was obvious to me that he has a voice with the camera, and he's got a story to tell. But to see that same fierce independent-mindedness and the same crazy camera work and the same energy behind it in me, you know, I was staying at a friend's house the first night. Take my kids up to Vermont. Just at a house in Vermont. They got FX, and I was like, hey guys, this friend of mine's got a show coming. We all watched it. I was like, that was incredible. I've never seen anything like it. It's just the people, the dialogue, the energy, the mood. And then I kept watching it. As a friend, I was rooting for it, but then as an artistic-minded person, this guy is amazing. And so we kept yes, you know. And then so he asked me to come down, and it was like the second last episode. And I thought when he told me he had a part for me, I thought it was going to be like the guy at the cash register with 7-Eleven.
No, right. I'm never going to make you do that.
Yeah. And I came in, it was an amazing part.
Yeah.
You know, it was like before sunrise. So the whole episode was one long conversation. And it was a great experience. And I got to that set, and it was the best time I'd had on set in a long time. It was easy and relaxed. And then the idea of this show started to develop.
Tosby, where you at? She knows. We were in the writer's room, and I was like, everyone gotta watch before sunrise, before sunset. And it was like, this episode's coming. I want to try to sort of give homage to those movies, because I'm such a Linklater fan. We also did, we did an homage to
Dazed and
Confused. And so I watched that so much. I was like, how do you get two people just talking? And that movie does it better than anything. And so the whole episode.
My character's name was Rick, and I was like, I see where this is going.
So, okay, I'm sorry, did I go? All right. With the Lowdown, what made you think, this is coming out wrong, what made you think Ethan was right for the part? No, he's really good. No, but what
I am. Give me a chance.
What was the question?
Well, I'll answer the question.
Okay.
He tricked me. He really tricked me. Because we were friends, and because I really love him as a writer, he said to me after that episode, I think that episode kind of was an audition of sorts to see, because we were written together and being kind of friendly, but what was it like after directing? And we had a great time working together. It was really easy. It felt like we'd been doing it forever. And he said, look, I finished this script, and I think it might be my next show. I don't know. Do you think it's ready to, give to people? And just give me some notes on the script. And so it's like, oh, all right. But
I wanted him to play the part the whole time.
But he didn't say that. So I started flipping it open, and I'm like reading this character, Lee Raybon. I'm like, this is interesting. It kind of seems like it could be me. And I'm like, why is he not offering me this part? I can't put it down.
It sounds like me, because I kind of did it was like Ethan Pass before I handed it to him. I was trying to get his voice.
Well, who does he think is going to play this part? It's so much better than me. I mean, who else is on his phone, Like, come on. And so I text him after I read it. I'm like, the script is great. There's this one big problem with it. Is, why aren't you offering it to me? And he texts me back, I can fix that. Does that mean you're offering it to me? Does that mean you'll do it? Yeah, okay, you go first.
Well, I think also that we had talked about this before, who Lee is, the character Lee is kind of fashioned after, or the inspiration for him. This is kind of a two-pronged thing. The fact that he is a truthstorian, and we are at the point where we are with journalism right now. It's a tough, I work with the LA Times, it's a tough gig right now, and people don't have a lot of trust, and truth is hard to find. So, I don't know, watching it, I felt like it was so important on that level as well. It's fantastic, it moves fast, it's this crime thing, but it also gets this idea of that burning need to tell the truth and how it all consumes you. I don't know, how much did the idea of journalism and the importance of that weigh on this decision, given where we are right now?
It's everything. I'm going to speak for you for a second, but when we got serious about the show, Sterlin came over to my house and showed me. He worked at, I'm going to talk for you for a second.
Yeah.
He worked at this press in Oklahoma called
This
This Land Press, and he had made
It was a long form magazine.
Yeah, you know, you can write those lines if you know the difference. And he'd done all these short films about this man, Lee Roy Chapman, who was a great writer, and you were documenting him driving around Tulsa, talking about the history of Tulsa and how important it is. And Sterlin was talking about the experience of these interviews and why he was doing it. And I realized two things. One is that the character is inspired by something true and something real, and that he had something really important to him in his heart to deliver with the show about the value of that. And so what we could, Trojan horse through genre, using the genre of noir to get at a really an idea that ever since the internet has happened, journalism has been under siege in a way that I don't think any of us really understood or saw coming. And the idea of what is the truth and what is worth reading and what are facts, there aren't alternative facts. There are facts. And how can we make a show that has that kind of beating heart underneath it? And I really felt that from Sterlin and what he wanted to communicate with the show. And it gave the show its heart.
Yeah, I mean, Lee Roy Chapman was a guy, I sat in a van with him and made these videos called Tulsa Public Secrets, and I rode shotgun. And it was very trippy making this with Ethan because I would find myself sitting in the van with him making this show. And Lee Roy passed away, and the thing that he taught me was that the truth is worth fighting for. And no matter what, no matter if you lose money, no matter if people don't like you, you fight for the truth, and in the end you'll be better for it, and we'll all be better for it. And that was sort of but it was more about not really a biopic, but it was about kind of trying to capture that essence of him and that spirit. And that spirit's what sort of found its way into this character.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and just as a journalist, like I brought up in the beginning, the fact that he's always getting the shit beat out of him, I'm like, yeah, yeah. Also, if you can talk a little bit about how much, the music in this is incredible, but it's just all the literary references, the pop culture references, art, just all of it it's so tucked in there, and it's so naturally kind of makes its way into the story, but it's all over the place in there.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's kind of where Ethan and I bond, I think, is music and literature and art, and we talk about music. We sing each other music all the time. We talk about, books, and it's just, that's not in shows enough anymore, I don't think. It's something that, you don't need money to enjoy music and books, and it's something that he and I like to celebrate, and so it's just naturally.
I remember being a kid and going to see Footloose, right? And there's this line, what are you reading? And Kevin Bacon says, Slaughterhouse 5. He goes, that's trash. And Slaughterhouse 5 is a classic. He goes, yes, it's not this town. It's a classic in any town. And I remember, but I went home and went to the library and got Slaughterhouse. I was like, what the hell is Slaughterhouse 5? I gotta read that. And I read it and I was like, that's amazing. And so I think it's part of our job is to slip all that in there.
Yeah. So,
You didn't know you were going to get Footloose references, did you?
He was a big influence.
let's get to the influences aside from Footloose. Just in terms of, I know we talked about this a little before, but you started out as a filmmaker, and Res Dogs was your first series, right?
Yeah.
So, what were the influences for the Lowdown, but also for Res Dogs? Because you called it, I'm going to mess this up. Is it the hangout genre, the hang genre?
I think so. Did I say that to you first? I think I did.
I think you did.
Yeah. I
So
don't know where any of this stuff comes from. You make it up. And then it's something that gets repeated. And now I have to answer for it. Richard Linklater is a hangout filmmaker. He's one of my favorites. You can watch, Slacker, obviously, right? Dazed and Confused, obviously. And there is an art to making something like that. So he's definitely an influence. With this show, though, it was The Long Goodbye. and Killian Chinese Bookie, Chinatown, you know, The Big Lebowski, Inherent Vice. It's like, you can't make a show like this and try to act like you invented it. You know, you have to embrace all of it, and we try to embrace all of it but do something different with it, I think. But we watched a lot of those movies.
Yeah, and they're inside us. They're inside our the vocabulary. You know, we're of the generation, we grew up watching these movies.
There's a great movie called The Setup that me and the writers watched. Friend of mine, Josh Fadum, who's a consultant, and he's an actor in it. He says, loitering earlier.
Yeah, that's Josh.
Yeah, so, loitering. He says loitering really great. But, you know, he's a sort of noir junkie. And he suggested this movie called The Setup, and it's about this boxer that just can't quit boxing. He's got this like great girlfriend that wants him to quit, and you know he wants to like he could just move on with his life and stop boxing. He's got to throw a fight, and he can't. And at the end of the movie, he's so beat up, much like Lee. You know, and it's like Lee is obsessed with the truth, and it gets him beat up a lot. You know, but I think that's such a noble thing. And I think that like, you know, like watching. I mean, today like. One thing that I didn't know, I mean, obviously we've had some reviews come out that have been pretty great. And what I didn't realize is like there's not a lot of shows or movies about journalists right now. I mean, there's some, but like, you know, it's a desperate time for journalism. And it's so noble, you know, it's about telling the public what the truth is. It's a journalist's job to sift through the bullshit. And that's very hard today. And now we have a hero at least that we get to watch. And yes, he gets beat up, but it's worth it. You know, and I think that the big sort of like, my kids are here, hi children. You know, and the big thing about like, you know, the thing that Ethan and I bonded a lot over was being dads, and being dads of daughters. And, you know, it's like, at what cost, you know, like being an independent filmmaker, being an actor, being a musician, being a journalist, you know, you are, you're fighting for these things, but sometimes others suffer for it, and it's like, how do you balance that? How do you make that okay in your mind? Well, you have to try if you're a good father, and that's sort of like, I think what's at the center of this show.
Yeah, that struggle between like parenthood, being a girl dad, and figuring out how to, you know, you get all obsessed with what you're doing. I wanted to, so one of the characters in the show that is Lee's friend describes him as a narcissistic cowboy with a penchant for seeming like the good guy. How would you describe him?
I would describe him more as Don Quixote.
Okay.
You know, I saw him as in that vein of the person chasing windmills, and in regard to the parenting thing, sometimes when you have a North Star that you're chasing really hard, it creates blind spots. So you're not aware of what your tail is knocking over because you want this one thing so bad. It's a really interesting character, and what they want has nobility to it, has integrity to it, but that does create all these problems for the people around him. And you know, the narcissism part is interesting because there's this, you know, there's a great Dylan line about, you know, you for a second you have to be an egomaniac when you're creating something, to believe that a song could change the world, right? If you don't believe that, it definitely won't. But if you do believe it, you're entering this megalomania for a second, and you have to figure out a way to get in and out of it. But it's hard to believe in your cause so much, and it creates a tremendous amount of damage around Lee. But in his mind, it's working to good. Yeah. In the second episode that you guys didn't see tonight, there's one of my favorite moments with the daughter. Is she gets really worried for him, and he says, "Remember, I was really happy with this. We came up with this about you don't worry about me. Worry about all the people sleeping through their lives. You know, I'm doing what I love." And it is hard as somebody who's in the arts. You don't know whether you're leading your family well or not. You know, whether you're failing or whether you're succeeding, you're in the public eye, you're embarrassing people.
And sometimes you do all those things. You know?
Yeah, most of the time.
Or are we embarrassing ourselves up on? No,
Probably.
No.
We'll read about it later.
But I think that thing also of, it's not narcissistic, but it's making a show, writing a book, you have to believe that your point of view or what you're putting in there is something people are going to want to see. And I know, like with Rose Ducks, you got bounced around and turned back many times. Like, I just want to know, like, what kept you moving forward to get to the Lowdown, which is so damn good and totally different.
I mean, I think that, I don't know, I just don't, I had an art teacher in high school, and his advice to me was, whatever you do, don't have a fallback plan because you'll fall back. And I'm in rural Oklahoma, and I want to be an artist, and no one ever, other than my family, I had no reason to think I could be an artist. And that sort of mantra I just said in my head over and over, and I just lived by it for the rest of my life up until now. I don't know if you're going to like what I make. I hope you do. But if you're worried, if you're...
No fallback plan.
No fallback plan because you'll fall. Don't have a fallback plan because you'll fall back. Thank you. And, but I think that like, it really threw me off. I was like going to land the plane so good. But I think that like, you know, it's just important. I don't know if you're going to like what I do, and I don't think about that because I can't. And if I do think about that too much, you'll probably not like what I do because I'll be thinking too much about what someone thinks about it. I just have to try and say, I just have to try and speak from my heart and create a world that I feel true to me. And that's all I can do. I'm thankful when you like it.
It makes you an incredible director because when I'm performing for you, I'm not wondering whether you're worried about what anybody else thinks. You're actually you're watching the show thinking, is this a show I want to see? And when he's not giggling or thinks it's, amusing, and it's so obvious when he's inspired. And it's so obvious when he's bored. It's incredible.
Tell the story about walking onto the...
Oh yeah, this had never happened in 30 years of acting. I'm doing a scene in the roll camera, the slate things. We're like in the middle of the scene. It's like take 3, and your students just kind of saying, "Yeah, go again." And, so then we get to take 3, and we're doing the scene. And Storm's they're wrong. Storm just kind of walks into the shot. Why is this so fake? What's going on? What do you think? Is it working? It isn't now. And he's like, yeah, maybe I don't think you should be sitting there. But once that happened, I was like, oh, let's play. Like let's play. Like, I was thinking we were just gonna do a boring scene from a TV show. But we didn't want to see that. That's boring, And when in doubt, we would just talk about things, and you're so good at encouraging. This is one of my favorite things about certain creative people, which is their confidence isn't expressed in having power over people. It's expressed in empowering people. He's really interested in what the other actors are saying, what the production designer thinks, what the music is, how everyone can contribute, what the costume says. He's really interested in letting you, there might be a better idea than the one he was visualizing when he was writing it. He's really open to that. And, Linklater is the same way, Sidney Lumet was the same way. It's a really wonderful quality of empowering others. And if you're truly confident, you're in charge. If you don't like their idea, you don't have to do it.
Yeah.
And so you don't need to be scared of other people's ideas. And it gives you wisdom because you're absorbing multiple points of view without losing your own, And that's the magic Zen space of the whole thing that it comes pretty naturally to you, it seems like. And
Yeah, I mean, how many writers do we have in here? Olivia, you're here?
yeah, a lot of them.
Oh, sorry, I don't mean like general, I mean like on this show. Raise your hand if you're a writer on this show.
Right, you see them, you're like, that's awesome.
That's so awesome that you're all writers. Yeah.
No wonder you're being so generous.
I say only in LA. I say, how many screenwriters are in LA? No, but I mean, that's how I treat writing too. It's like I don't want to do something that I've seen before, you know. And so I just really kind of like hold everything to the fire. Like if I've seen this, I'm gonna change it, you know. That's how. And luckily, Ethan's like game for that, you know. And luckily, Patrick Tuck, my editor here, wave your hand. You know, he's also game for that.
He did a great job.
Like Patrick and I created this pilot together, and you know, like in a lot of ways, it's like I also make sure Patrick feels empowered to try things, and the writers, and it's like, you know, I can only do so much, but like if you give me a really good idea, like I'll run with it, and we ran with it. You know what I mean? Like, if you think of the with Tracy Letts in the supper club, whenever Lee in the beginning, you know, like he's talking in that supper club, but you're also like cutting to him in the van driving and thinking about the conversation that he just had in the supper club. And you just don't see that very much. And like, you know, there was some stuff that we experimented with, and then Patrick showed me that, and I was like, that's it. Like that is the show. You know, and we really went with that for the rest of the show. So it is fun to empower people, and because I think that like a lot of people with egos, you can't make something good, especially in this business. This is a collaboration. You can only do good if you're empowering other people to be better than you, you know? That was beautiful, wasn't it?
You're amazing. You landed that plane. The one earlier, you kind of didn't land.
It's been a long trip press tour, trying to land planes all the time.
It might be really long because I don't know what the time is, and we're supposed to have some.
She told me that there was a. Should I say that? I shouldn't say that.
But, oh,
There's a ghost here.
there's a
That was
ghost
the
here.
ghost.
Did you know that?
Ghosts are welcome.
We're native, so as a native person, you just talk to the ghost and say, "Hey, I'm here hanging out. We're not bothering you. Don't bother us. It's fine."
You know, okay, we'll get into
Native wisdom for you.
Culturally, we all have our ghosts. Like my family had the djinn, and people think. Anyway, we'll get into that. So there is this. Let's get to the cast, because the cast is fantastic. And if you can just talk a little bit about that, because Gene Tripplehorn.
Tulsa's own.
Yeah,
Tripplehorn.
Keith David,
Keith
Tinsley
David,
yeah.
smoothest voice in the business. What else?
Tinsley Nelson, Kyle
Tracy
McLaughlin, Killer Mike.
Killer Mike, come on.
Yeah, yeah.
When Mike was doing that scene, he was like, "Man, don't let me look stupid." He was like, "There's nothing worse than a rapper trying to act and they can't act." I was like, "I got you, man. I'm never gonna let you look stupid." And he was so serious every day, and it was just like he knocked it out of the park. He's so great.
Did the cast? How much did they know about? Did they know about you from Res Dogs? Like, were they Res Dogs
Everyone's
fans?
there because of Res Dogs.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a cool show, right? Like,
Yes.
you know, you don't get cooler than that. Like, I mean, look, like, nothing like that had ever been made. I mean, can you imagine? Like, what year was it? 22? 21? Year of the pandemic? I don't know what it was. But nothing like that had ever been done. I mean, and you have a culture on your shoulders, and we did this story, we did this show. I mean, can you believe that? Like, Native people had been a part of film and TV from the very beginning. The very first time Edison or whoever it was turned film over and filmed us. We've been a part of the beginning. And never once had we been able to show what it's really like, who we are, you know? So awards didn't matter. What mattered was our whole community felt seen. And being seen is so healing, you know? Like you see yourself, and it's, I mean, I grew up without ever seeing representation of myself on TV. You know, I just don't know that a lot of people can say that in America right now. but we did it, you know. We always had to accept really ridiculous representations of us, you know. I remember one time my dad was like, hey, come check the TV out. It's a show about Seminole Indians on Seminole. And they were all dressed like Lakotas, but we didn't care. We were just like, yes! They were probably speaking Comanche. We was like, yes! So the show, I think, had an impact in, like, all of these actors who just wanted to be a part of something. They all felt the storytelling within that, you know, and I think that I'm really proud of that show. I don't think that we would have had this show without that.